This is the Dark Lord of the Sith, Emperor Palpatine, and you're watching Displaying Model Behaviour. Good!
There's a new Street Fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk Loot Crate. It's been a big week, not only from me buying stuff, but people actually giving me stuff as well, which is just so amazing. So I've got some massive thanks to give out throughout this Loot Crate, but the generosity of some of you guys is just mind-blowing, so thank you so much. Before we go on to these, if you want some new Marvel Legends or any action figures, go on over to strangeworldcollectibles.co.uk. For great prices and friendly service, Strange World Collectibles can't be beat. That's my advertising spiel. How was it? I thought that was pretty good. I'm getting better at this. All right, guys. First up, we got a big one. I'm gonna go with a big one to boot. We are starting off with Diamond Select Titanium Man. Oh me nya! From my Patreon friend and supporter of the show, all-round good brother and first ballot Hall of Famer, Ammo to Go. My God, this thing is just holy moly. First of all, I wasn't a big Select guy. I like the idea of Select for some figures, but the only Selects that I ever really had in hand were super old. Like the Juggernaut or Rhino, like going back like nearly 20 or 15 years or so of Select. And I just knew Select as being these big chunky doorstop type things. And then I'm introduced to this guy. Because Ammo said, he was like, dude, you've mentioned the Titanium Man a few times. You did the whole video about what selects go well with Legends. Let me send you Titanium Man. And I was like, well, dude, I'm not going to say no. And then, man, I've got him in hand. And seriously, I'm blown away at what selects actually are. This is bonkers good. First of all, like, what it feels like in hand, it's odd. In the coolest way. The plastic, like I'm used to Selects being like just this solid, cold brick of a figure. But this, like, it feels like a softer, warmer kind of plastic. I mean, first of all, he's got this little sort of skirt piece here, which actually is soft plastic, which is really nice, because then it follows the contours of the body. You can move his legs out and it'll move nicely and bend with them. That in itself is cool. And that brings me to the very first point I really want to make, which is the joints, the bends, they're all like invisible. You can't see any like ratchets or, you know, where things move. We've been talking recently about pinless tech with the Marvel Legends, but this guy here, like, you can't see a thing. It's seamless. The elbows, the knees, it's all incorporated within the actual figure itself, and he's got the beautiful ankle pivot and rotation. There's so much more you can do with this than I would have ever thought. I thought Titanium Man looked visually nice in reviews that I saw, in pictures that I saw. I thought, no, it's a handsome looking figure, but I thought it's just going to be another brick. But this has so much articulation and movement that you can do with it. You can pose him in different sort of forms and functions. You can have him like striding forwards and have a really sort of dynamic look to him. It's so much more interesting as a figure, and the joints are all, you saw the way I was manipulating them there. I wasn't being like, it's not like a NECA. Oh, you gotta be super careful. You can really play around with this guy and have so much fun with him, and I'm blown away by that. Now I'm thinking, what is the 2022 Apocalypse going to look like? I tell you what he's going to look like. He's going to look incredible if he's made to this standard, which I assume, like, this is the Diamond Select standard. So if we're getting Apocalypse like this, then I don't feel too bad about selling my Builder figure. Because next year, we already have a potential figure of the year. if they do Apocalypse in a bigger Apocalypse scale, which it looks like he is going to be bigger than this, with all the kind of look and the details and articulation and the quality that he comes with, oh my goodness, that's going to be a game changer. Because this is a game changer. Just going back more to the figure itself, I just love the retro 50s design. This is a real Lost in Space type retro sci-fi kind of look, like a pulp sci-fi sort of look, and I love that so much. Now, he also comes with the other head, the human head, as well. And that was interesting because I thought, oh, well, it's further proof that selects don't scale with Legends because the human head, like, it's too big. It doesn't look right. But then I actually did some research on Titanium Man, and it turns out that no, the dude in this armor is a giant. Like, he's meant to be a giant human being. So that actually works. The fact that his human head is, like, way too big compared to all the other ones, that actually makes sense. That's canon. But why would I display that head when I've got this great retro sci-fi Robbie the Robot looking display up here with his very Cyberman, very Doctor Who Cyberman kind of look. Then with the racing green, it's very British racing colours, this chrome racing green sort of thing. You have a Jaguar in this kind of colour, or a Aston Martin, or I don't know, I'm not really a car person, I'm going off on a tangent that I really shouldn't, because I'm going to reveal, what was it, an MG? Any car fans? An MG is what I was thinking. Anyway, he looks great. I love him. And now this is making me think, what other selects have I kind of passed on thinking, nah, they're not for me, when actually I realise now modern selects are so good. I love this guy. Cannot wait for Apocalypse. And now I'm thinking, what else is out there? Because selects, they've kind of got my attention now. Now we have the X-Force 3-pack. And this is one that I wasn't torn on getting because I've been collecting X-Force. You can see I've got X-Force over there. So I thought, well, I need to complete X-Force. But I just wasn't that sort of excited because I wasn't a consummate reader of the comics in the early 90s. So I wasn't familiar with Richter. And like, he was a big selling point because we've already got Cannonball. So we're getting Cannonball with legs, and then Domino. And I had the earlier X-Force Domino figure we got, who's in more of her uncanny X-Force colours. But I thought, no, it'd be good to get the 90s Domino, who I know is actually copycat, whatever, nerds. But let's take a look at these. So first of all, we have Domino / Copycat here, and this is a figure that initially I didn't have much love for, mainly because I had some real trouble with her shoulder. Her shoulder was really stuck. Anyone who watched the live stream would have seen me wrestling with that. I eventually had to dip it in hot water and really try and loosen it up. And eventually when I was pushing on it, I did pop the shoulder, the arm out of the socket. Luckily I could just pop it back in there, but that was a dubious start for a very expensive set. You're dropping the money for 3 figures all at once. That's a lot. So, you want them to be decent. And it's a shame that I feel she looks a little bit derpy. And it's a shame because they're trying different things with different expressions. And I respect that. But at the same time, she just looks like she's catching flies. It doesn't look like she's going, "Arr!" It looks like she's going, huh? And I was wondering, is this the same? No. Is it the same face as Kitty Pryde? It's very hard to tell if it's the same face as Kitty Pryde because I'm terrible at recognizing these things. If it is the same face mold, it works so much better on Kitty than it does on Domino. Let me know if they're identical, because honestly, I'm just terrible at telling these things. You paint it a different color and it might as well be completely different to me, which makes collecting quite nice because I'm like, ooh, a new figure. But I think probably because she has the perfect white skin and then the perfect white teeth, it all just, it's too white. And that's kind of a difficulty, because then with the inside of the eyes, they're all white as well. It all looks a little bit odd. And then she's just got this duh kind of look on her face, and it's a bit of a shame. Now, a way around that would have been to have given her more of a bone white on the face. And I know that probably would have upset people, because they're like, no, Domino should be white. But then you do get a problem with the teeth and the eyes and everything. So I think some compromise somewhere. There are Domino appearances where she does have more of a bone white kind of skin color as opposed to bright white. Something to differentiate the eyes from the teeth. It would have helped a lot. Now then, the actual bit around her face, the little face mask thing, whatever it is, that actually works out really well. I was worried at first. I was like, oh no, is this defective? Because of course, it's not symmetrical. You've got the thick side here and the pointed side here. And I was like, that can't be right, can it? And then of course, I just looked at some pictures and I was like, oh no, it was the 90s. So that's actually perfect. And I love the chrome on here. All of the purple chrome armor. That's winning me over more. So already I'm like, okay, I'm feeling better about her now. Unfortunately, with this old female... Is this the old mold? Or no, it's got the double jointed elbows. So that means it's new, right? I'm still learning this stuff as I go. I've been collecting these for years and I'm still like, what's the new thing now? But still, no ankle rocker. That's such a shame. That's a real problem for me. That's a real sticking point, a real bone of contention. When the feet can only go up and down, you get so limited as to what you can do with them, especially with female figures who have small feet and limited articulation. You can't really do anything dynamic, to be honest. If anyone can pose her in a dynamic, interesting pose that looks decent, then by all means send me a picture on Instagram. Let me know, because I just have her standing up. I'd love to have her in a James Bond style, bam kind of look, but her feet they just lend themselves to just standing up straight, and it's not very interesting. Then throw on the look on her Chevy Chase, and it's a little bit underwhelming. She's slowly growing on me. She's slowly growing on me. Like the belt is quite nice, and I do like that purple chrome, but the parts that are against it, they weigh heavy. That face really just bugs me. The more I look at it, the more it looks like the eyes just look odd. So I don't love her, but she is decisively adequate. Speaking of adequate, we have Cannonball. We have 2 Cannonballs now. I think a lot of people in the world have 2 Cannonballs now. And good luck selling the old one, because I don't think he's going to go for much. What I've actually done here, I think I've mixed things up. Have I swapped? Yeah, I've got this is the completely new Cannonball here. Yes, this is the completely new one, and I've put the new blast effect on the old one, just to mix things up. I mean, the difference is the old blast effect is more translucent, whereas this one has like more thick plastic. It's more of a brighter, bolder sort of look, so you don't get so much translucency. There's a little bit, but actually arguably it stands out on the shelf more, so I kind of dig that. Now, when you compare the two, you see that the new one, the biggest difference really, besides the legs, obviously, is that he has a sort of a grey kind of t-shirt with light blue accents, whereas the old one has the white t-shirt with the purple accents. I prefer the white t-shirt. I think it stands out more. And also, as well, I prefer the old one's brown gloves as opposed to the grey gloves, which are just less interesting, really. But then with the trade-offs, the two grrr faces are pretty much identical, I think. It's just the goggles that are a different colour. And I'm not even sure, I can't remember if I swapped the heads as well. They're completely interchangeable to an extent. Really, this is just a very mild repaint with some extra legs thrown on. What's kind of fun though is I do actually display them both together. I have this Cannonball in kind of a crouching pose, and then this one just like above him, like he's taking off. So it's a fun kind of motion sort of effect. So I kind of dig that. But at the same time, if this 3-pack was a 2-pack without him, I wouldn't have lost much sleep, you know? So he's fine, but again, so far we're 2 for 2 on figures in a 3-pack, which is expensive, that are decisively adequate. And finally, for that 3-pack, we have one that people were genuinely clamoring for, which is Richter. Now, this might not be a fair assessment because, again, I'm familiar with a character called Richter, but that's about it, actually. I had to speak to some of the good brothers to find out kind of the 411 on what this guy is, who he is, what he does, all that kind of thing. And apparently, yeah, he has the quake, tremor type earthquake sort of powers, which makes sense. Richter, I kind of like that. It's a cool name. And apparently he has these 2 sort of flat flipper hands, and that's why he has them in the pack, because he sort of puts them together and like that. That's how he generates those earthquake sort of things. Unfortunately, the figure doesn't really have nice enough articulation. Like, you can push his hands together, but they'll come apart. So actually, I prefer him just with these swirly-whirly power effects, just like bring it on kind of look. I'm fine with that. Now, the swirly whirly power effects have been used 10,000 billion times, and they probably will go on to be until the sun burns out, which, you know what, is actually okay. I mean, they're decent, they're fine, they do the job. The figure itself is, he's decent, he's fine, he does the job, but that's about it. But in fairness, he looks exactly like Richter should look. So they've taken what's on the comic panel and gone, yeah, here he is in action figure form. Now, there's some new sculpting, but nothing to get, like, really excited about. I kind of like the boots. The boots are different. It's not... They could have been very lazy and just used, like, the Buccaneer-type boots, but I think these are the first time that I remember seeing these. So I like the wrinkled boots with the knee pads. That's cool. And even the little spurs, the little spikes on his shoes, I like that. That's a really nice touch. And then he's got the X on his chest, which if you sort of bend his torso back too far, it sort of misaligns, but if you crunch it just right, it looks okay. Although if he's standing straight, just with a straight, relaxed posture, it doesn't line up quite properly. You need to have it like one click forwards for it to actually be the way it should. So, that is what it is. But what I do like is his shoulder pads. His shoulder pads are nice and soft, so you can actually rotate his head with some freedom, because of course he's got long hair. In fact, he's stolen the hair that Age of Apocalypse Cyclops should have had. You see this? Cyclops back there is like looking at this head of hair being like, should have been mine. Should have been mine. And it should have. He would have looked so much better with this hair. This guy's got long, thick, luscious locks. No widow's peak going back to here like Cyclops has. I'm sorry, but that just such a simple thing. And just, come on guys, how did you do that? And the face sculpt is stoic, is all I can really say. You know, it's not interesting. There's nothing to write home about. It's very basic. It's fine. It's not ugly. It's not stupid. It's just, he's just there living his life. But he does look a bit like he's waiting for the bus, and that is a bit of a shame. Like, he should be just, like, checking his watch, like, should have been here by now. Looks like it's going to rain. So, yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But still, at least he looks kind of cool, and that's fine. Sometimes that's all you need. So Richter, again, he's adequate. So the X-Force box set, all three of these guys, I will say wholeheartedly are thoroughly adequate. And that's it. Honestly, now that I've got pretty much all of X-Force, I might sell them. I'm just not feeling that X-Force-y. I feel like I've got figures for the sake of having figures. It's nice to have a set, but now that I've got these guys, I'm like, nah, there's nothing really right-homeable about them. If I was away at war, I wouldn't be, dearest mother, I've recently received the X-Force box set, and, oh, they're all very adequate. No, you wouldn't write home about them. So, they're fine, but that's about all it is. But let's finish on a big one, because boy howdy, this is literally the biggest one. You want to go back in time? Way back. I present the classic select doorstop of an action figure. It's an Abomination. It's the Abomination from Connor Superbra, friend of the show, the man who is responsible for some of the awesome diorama pieces that you see when I'm displaying these figures. The brick walls, the mesh fences, the bin bags, the oil drums. The dude is a customizing master. He has made so much for me, and so much of it is on display. And again, gift to the channel. And not only that, but he was like, hey, I've made you so much, I feel like I can make you more. Well, oh, here you go. Let me just give you Abomination. Thank you, Connor, so much. It genuinely warms my heart, because people folks like you and Ammo, you don't have to do this. I'm just some random guy making YouTube videos, but you're like, no, have a thing. And I'm like, you know what? I will happily take a thing. Wow, that sounds dodgy. Especially when it's big and green. But this guy, amazing. Okay, he's about 15 years old now. So he definitely, sort of shows his age as an older figure. But my goodness, the reason you want this is because of the size and the heft. He weighs a ton. Must have cost a lot to ship, actually. But he just is so imposing on the shelf. He just stands there, looming over everything. You can have the leader. I mean, look at the size comparison. That is what Abomination should look like, folks. This is just absolutely terrific. So what you've got to love about this Select, and I've never seen this in hand before. I've seen him on store shelves, but you don't really get a sense of what he actually is like. He's so big. And there's more articulation than I thought. Unlike the Juggernaut, you've got the elbow articulation here, so you can play around with him a little bit more. Obviously, there's no ab crunch or anything. That wouldn't have come along for a bit later for the Select big boys like this. And you can't move his head up and down. Or like sort of look left, look right. It's just on the kind of rotation rocker like that. So you need to have him sort of like straight on. Even though you can bend at the waist and give him sort of a walking kind of pose. So that's kind of fun and imposing. But really, all you got to do is just have him there towering over the rest of your villains, like backing them up as the hired gun goon that he is. He looks so badass. So guys, I think it's time to rate these figures because this has been a good week. So, easy first place, it's going to be the Green Boys, obviously. First of all, Titanium Man. The reason he squeaks first place is because he's a new figure. So he's got all the new tooling. You know, he's all bells and whistles, fresh off the factory floor. Of course, he's going to be like the hood ornament standing there. But also, like, this has just shown me what modern Select can do. And that's what makes me so excited, because I cannot wait to see what we get now. Now, from this moment forward, if Select make a character who is naturally like a big giant character, boom, that's the one I'm getting. Starting with Titanium Man, gonna be Apocalypse as well. If they make a figure that is a big hulking figure, oh, I wish I got Immortal Hulk. I didn't think I needed another Hulk. I thought, no, I was really confused as to why people were torn over, like, oh, which one's better? You know, if I've got the 80th Hulk, should I get the Select? I'm like, why bother? If you've got the 80th Hulk, just keep the 80th. No. Now I get it. If that Immortal Hulk has this kind of tooling, is made of this kind of material, has this kind of articulation, I really want that Hulk now. So I'm going to have to go walk about and have a look for it, because if he's in the same quality as this, he's going to be amazing. Just like this guy, who is amazing. Then, of course, in a close second, we've got Abomination. He shows his age, but he wears it so well. Huge and imposing. I've got him posed, as I say, behind my villains of the Marvel Universe, and next to Juggernaut, and then Titanium Man flanking him as well. They look so awesome. A hero is only as good as his villains, and this is what a villain should look like. Alright, now, X-Force 3-pack. So, the one that I'm most sort of interested in is, in fairness, it's Richter, just because he's a new, different kind of character. It's kind of cool. There's nothing really right homey about him. He's fine. You don't have to write homey to your homies about him. He's just a figure who sits on the shelf and does his thing. I guess if I read more X-Force, I'd probably have more sort of appreciation of him. Although looking at, also, I like his belt. Yeah, I like that there's actually some different coloured paint, some silver on the clasp of the belt. Makes it look a bit more interesting. His boots are nice too, but on the whole, he's just fine. Then, of course, we have Domino/Copycat, who, it's funny, the more I look at her, the more I like the bits I like, and the more I dislike the bits I dislike. Such a funny figure. She does the job fine of being this character. Almost too well, because it is the perfect white, and that kind of throws other things off balance. But if it wasn't perfect white, that could have been a problem as well. So I'll take what I've got. She does the job. I like the shiny pink, so for that alone, I kind of dig her. And finally, we've got Cannonball, who is fine. But again, that's it. It's just fine. I'm not going to waste your time anymore, because it's not a bad figure, not a great figure, but he is absolutely a figure that was made. And that's it. And that is it for today's Loot Crate. I had a lot of fun doing this. Obviously, massive, huge thanks and shout out to Ammo and Connor. You guys are amazing. Ultra Bras, friends for life of the channel. I'm so happy and so grateful. You guys are terrific. Thank you so much. And guys, if you want to be Super Bras and friends of the channel, you can do by going over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way, and what people don't send me, I will go and buy myself. Probably from strangeworldcollectibles.co.uk. So folks, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cheers.